Hello, everybody. It's Paul, and we're up to day 5 of our Feast of Unleavened Bread reading here. We're going to open up in prayer right now. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Baruch Shem Kiro, Mahuto, Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. and write them. You shall write them on a doorpost of your house and upon your gates. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, everybody. We are continuing here with our day 5 reading. So I'm looking at the last days of Yeshua as we read about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then the Jewish people led Yeshua from Capernaum to the palace of the Roman governor. By now it was early morning, and to avoid ceremonial uncleanness, the Jewish people did not enter the palace. They wanted to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and asked them, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, "we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law. But we have no right to execute anyone," the Jewish people objected. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." So again, Pilate asked him, "Are you going to answer? See how many things there are accusing you of." But he still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. But they insisted. "He stirs up the people all over Judah by his teaching. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here." On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was the Galilean. When he learned that Yeshua was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Yeshua, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he had been wanting to see him. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform some miracles. He piled him with many questions, but Yeshua gave him no answer. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there extremely accusing him. Then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him, dressing him as an elephant, dressing him in an dressing him in an elegant robe. They sent him back to Pilate. That day, Herod and Pilate just became friends. Because this they have been before this they have been enemies. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Yeshua, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jewish people?" "Is that your own idea?" Yeshua asked, "or did others talk to you about me?" As a Jewish person, Pilate replied, "It was your people." Well, he said, "Am I a Jewish person?" Pilate replied, "It was your people and your chief priest who handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Yeshua said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish people. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king, then," said Pilate. Yeshua answered, "You are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason I was born and came into this world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" Pilate asked. With this, he went out again to the Jewish people and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him, but it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of Passover. Do you want me to release the king of the Jewish people? For he knew it was out of envy that they had handed Yeshua over to him. But the people condemned Yeshua. They shouted back, "No, not him. Give us Barabbas." Now Barabbas had taken part in a rebellion, but the chief priest and the elders persecuted the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Yeshua executed. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" The soldiers led Yeshua away into the first palace, that is the Praetorium, and called together the whole company of the soldiers. They stripped him and put him in a scarlet robe on him, and he then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jewish people," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him. Once more Pilate came out and said to the Jewish people, "Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him." When Yeshua came out, wearing the crown of thorns, the people's robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify, crucify." But Pilate answered, "You take him and crucify him. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him." The Jewish people insisted, "We have a law, and according to it, he must die, because he claimed to be the son of Yahweh." When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid, and he went back inside to the palace. "Where do you come from?" he asked Yeshua. But Yeshua gave him no answer. "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Pilate said. "Don't you realize I have the power to either to set you free or to crucify you?" Yeshua answered, "You would have no power over me if it was not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to set Yeshua free, but the Jewish people kept shouting, "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar." When Pilate heard this, he brought Yeshua out and sat down on the judge's seat at the place known as the stone pavement, which in Aramaic is Golgotha. It was this day, the preparation of the Passover week, about the 6th hour. "Here is your king," Pilate said to the Jewish people. But they shouted, take him away, and crucify him." "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the chief priests answered. When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "Let his blood be on us and all our children." Pilate handed him over to them to be crucified. That was the reading for day 5. And we see here the things and the events that led up to Yeshua and this whole event here. And we think about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and people often think about the original covenant and the people leaving Exodus and even the Passover. But unleavened, remember, leaven is sin, and Yeshua is teaching us to get the sin out. Basically, he's purifying us to understand, just like he was the perfect sacrifice and purified, about purity and cleansing and holiness. And that's the season we're in now. The leaven's out of the house. The leaven's out of the house. The sin is gone. That's what Yeshua wants. He came to take away the not the leaven, but the result of the leaven in his great mercy. Hallelujah. That we would have a new nature. That he died for us. He died for us and only us. Praise our wonderful Creator for this gift of Yeshua. I pray you're all having a blessed Feast of Tabernacles. Yahweh be with you all this day and always, and shalom, shalom.